Hello everybody, welcome back to Tech Talk Education. I'm Dr. Heldman. Hey, I've got an announcement I'd like to make. In fact, I've got two. After 18 years of teaching high school at the best career and technical education high school in the country, Warren Tech in Lakewood, Colorado, I'm retiring as of June 1st, and I'm going to take another teaching gig at a university teaching cybersecurity as well. But over the winter, in the 23 and 24 winter, I wrote a new book, and I want to talk to you about it because I think you might get a lot of good out of it. So I just want to briefly go over this book. It's called Teaching Cybersecurity to High School Students, but it doesn't mean you have to be a teacher. It also doesn't mean you have to be a high school student. If you're interested in getting into cybersecurity and you want to know more about it, this might be a really good start for you because I go into a lot of detail on a lot of different things, and my whole thing is to just try and make it easier for you to understand all of the details that are involved in a cybersecurity career. So let's get started. I hope you enjoy this movie. This is strictly an informational movie at this point. Well, this was a pretty interesting process for me because this is the first time I have not gone through a regular publisher. In times past, my publisher has been Cybex Books, but I haven't written for them for, probably 10 or 15 years now. Anyway, so I'm using what's called Kindle Desktop Publisher, KDP. I've really enjoyed the process. I got to tell you, man, Amazon thinks this stuff through. It's very good. Now, you're looking at my book. It's called Teaching Cybersecurity to High School Students, Crafting Authentic Cybersecurity Learning Experiences. And the main takeaway from this is I wanted to rope in 10 or 11 subjects that I think are really prime, really important for people that want to go into cybersecurity to learn. You know, if you're out on YouTube or whatever, and you're watching these influencers, it's clear to me they have all kinds of experience in all of the topics that you need to know. However, they don't tell you you need to know those. You just kind of flow along with them as they fly through the screens and say this or that or the other. Cybersecurity is pretty challenging. There's a lot to know, and you have to be very broad in your knowledge base, and you have to be very deep in all of your knowledge as well. So that's why I wrote this book. This book is a culmination of 12 years of cybersecurity teaching, and I feel like I've got a lot to offer in terms of what the contents of the book is. Now, you can get the book in paperback, and it's a little bit bigger book, so it's a little bit higher in price. So the paperback book has a little swirl on it like this, and then if you want it in Kindle format, it's available to you this way, and it has a picture of a motherboard on there. So either way, it's the same book. Kindle format was very, very interesting to publish to, and they actually have an app that you download where you can look at the book in Kindle to make sure it's going to look okay. And if I zoom in here and I say to look at, read a sample there, some of the graphics didn't come across in the sample part, but they're fine in the Kindle book itself. Anyway, the next part of this movie, what I want to do is I want to go through and just show you a couple of the things that I touch on in the book to try to get you excited about ordering it. So let's go. I'm going to have, the next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to have the actual book up and running within the Kindle desktop publishing system so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so what you're looking at here on the screen now is what is called Kindle Create. It's really cool. I really think this thing is amazing. And you can see the book here. And the way that it works is you publish the book in Kindle Desktop Publisher, and then what they have to do is they approve it. Let me get this to go to the right screen here. So it takes a day or two, and they have to go through and approve the book. It's got an ISBN to it and all this stuff. And I think this is probably the best way to show you what the book's going to basically look like. You can see the chapter contents over here. Let me go to the TOC. It's called the Table of Contents, so I can show that to you. And I'll get my little recording bar out of the way. When you're recording these in Camtasia, you can see what's going on the screen while you're recording. So you can see here that we've got the first chapter is a cybersecurity education protocol. This is about an AUP. It's an authorized use policy. And when I was teaching cybersecurity in high school, I required the students to sign this over and above their regular documents that they had to sign when they were coming to school. And the reason for this is because we want to make sure that students weren't using this knowledge for evil, but always for good. And so we didn't want to permit them to just go outside and, for example, I always use the example of opening up their neighbor's garage door because they could. So the AUP is an important thing. And what it is designed to do is designed strictly for the cybersecurity classroom. Now, I want to talk a little bit. I spent quite a bit of time on cybersecurity technical certifications. I think they're very, very important. And the company that is important here is CompTIA. So I'll finish up this TOC, and then we'll go look at a couple of these chapters just so you can see what's going on. TCP/IP is a huge chapter. There's a lot to know. I don't really even go into IP version 6 in this chapter because I think personally that IPv4 is challenging enough for a beginner to learn and to master. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have to be an incredible, like a Zen master with TCP/IP if you want to work in cybersecurity. It's very, very important. And you have to know all of the protocols, the main protocols that are involved, and how routers and switches work. So the whole full thing, the full menu of networking is very, very important. And so that's the reason why one of the technical certifications called Network Plus is so important to you. Also, you can see here chapter 4 is on programming. You really need to hone your skills in Python programming. You may want to learn some Ruby, as Metasploit is written using predominantly Ruby, although a lot of it's being done in Python today. And then the 5th chapter is on Linux. A lot of this stuff happens in Linux. Linux is super important because one of the cybersecurity programs that you'll wind up using is called Kali Linux, and it is based on the Debian Linux kernel, the Debian Linux distro, and it's very good. It's got 100 or so cybersecurity tools inside of it. So not only do you have to know Linux, you have to also know how to use Kali, and so this is an important thing. You really need to get on the bandwagon with Linux and get very, very good at it. I've had students in the past that took like an old laptop and burned Linux onto it, and that's all they use. Like they don't even go to Windows or Mac at all. They just strictly use Linux. So it's very important, as is virtualization. Now, virtualization, there's two kinds. There's a type 1 hypervisor, which is something that they use in the cloud. So, you've got VMware and AWS has their own hypervisor, etc. And so these are running big servers, and then we install the type 1 hypervisor software on the servers, and then we give you a server in the cloud that's running on top of this hypervisor. So it's a complicated thing. But in this chapter, what I'm doing is I'm talking about type 2 hypervisors, such as VMware Workstation Player, as well as Oracle VirtualBox, which I really love. I'm a big fan of Oracle VirtualBox. And it's very, very important that you know about virtualization for two reasons. First of all, because you can check out Linux, you can check out pfSense router and firewall, you can check out, Windows Server and things like that, all within a virtualized environment. You can even create a virtualized ethical hacking laboratory and have 4 or 5 of these machines all running and talking to each other. It's really amazing. And then Windows Server and Windows Security Workstation, Windows Server and Workstation Security in the cyber world is very, very important. And Windows is a big dog. There's a lot to know about. It's currently installed. I think the last time I saw a stat on it was like 1.4 billion computers, so it hasn't gone away. The Mac isn't the big thing on the planet, nor is Linux. Windows at the local workstation level is important, but of course on the phone, you have your iPhone, iOS, and then you have Android on your Android phone. But if we're using a desktop or a tablet, predominantly it's going to be Windows. And then databases are super important, guys. You've got to know databases, and you've got to know SQL, structured query language. It's a must-have. You've got to know about it. Part of it is because hackers like to get into databases, and there's not a day goes by when there isn't some database that has been exploited, and they steal all the records, all the logon information out of the database. It's very, very important that you know this. And OWASP, I've talked about OWASP before. They have a lot of classes on how hackers get into databases using SQL injection, so that's important. Chapter 9 is on an introduction to cloud computing. I think the cloud is very, very important. Let me save, because this thing is going to bug me. Where do I save? I'll save. The cloud is going to cloud is very, very important to you. You have to know about it. And so I have an entire chapter on cloud computing. I'm not saying you're going to be an expert in cloud computing. This is a really, really deep subject, but you definitely need to get some certifications like CompTIA Cloud Plus, maybe get your Google Cloud Computing, GCP, Google Cloud Platform cert, maybe go out and get a Microsoft Azure cert. These things are super important. And the cloud is it's a little bit difficult to learn. There's a lot to it. And so I want to encourage you to learn more about the cloud. And then on the next chapter, I have machine learning. So I've got a chapter in there talking about machine learning. This is a big, deep, dark thing. There's a lot going on in ML and AI. And so if you have at least a baseline on what the heck is happening, this might get you encouraged to go even further into it and learn more about it. A lot of these cybersecurity companies are using machine learning for their backbone. So this is something that you're going to have to know about, especially if you want to work in cybersecurity. And then finally, I have a little appendix here that talks about hacking electronics. Okay, so let's take a look at preparing for cybersecurity careers. So here you can see I'm a former Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. It's called an MCSE. I earned that way back in 1994. So, and I got this little chintzy toolkit for it, which is fine. I still have it. But it took 6 exams, guys, and it has really, really benefited me to have my MCSE because it helps me understand Windows Server. And of course, all these products evolve over the years. And then I want to go down here, and you can see here that I have a bunch of these little sidebars. They're in blue. I have some stories that I tell you that have occurred to me, and also advice and counsel. And then I'm talking here about who some of the YouTube influencers are that I recommend, like Network Chuck, David Bombell, Professor Messer. I love Chris Greer. This guy's solid, man, in terms of like, he does some really good stuff with packet captures, things like that. Dr. Chuck is a different guy. He's very fun. Hackersploit, I love him a lot. So I'm just trying to get you used to that. And then I talk about certifications. So CompTIA is the big dog. There are other cybersecurity certs, but I want to tell you I'm focused predominantly on CompTIA. I think they're the most important game on the planet right now. They're doing a lot of good work, so that's what this chapter is about. Networking here is about TCP, IP, and I have some exercises in here, and then I have some definitions. And I just want to give you all the information that you can possibly get on TCP, IP without being completely exhaustive. Here's my Python chapter. So I talked to you about a CTF program that you could go into. CTF stands for Capture the Flag. Try Hack Me is very, very good. I like that a lot. And they have a new course called DevSecOps, Development Security Operations. So you can get that at Try Hack Me. So I just mentioned that on a sidebar. And so we're talking here about Python. Then I'm talking about here Linux, and I talk about what Linux is and how to go about getting involved with it. And then there's an exercise in here where you install Linux Mint, which is a very, very good OS. I like it a lot. Databases are here. I'm talking about Oracle and MySQL and so forth. And so these are all of the databases that you may want to be thinking about. Here's Chapter 9, an introduction to cloud computing. And then here's machine learning. Okay, so you've looked at the book, you've seen some of the things in the book. There are exercises in the book. Here's an example of an exercise up here. Let me zoom up a little bit here. get you up. Oh, it's not in this one. It is in databases right here. Let me go down and show you what an exercise looks like. So you can see I have a little graphic for exercises. Let's see if I can find it. There you go. That's what an exercise looks like. And so the book is full of exercises, real practical, hands-on stuff. I'm giving you the real dirt here. I'm really trying to get you as technical as you possibly can be, so that you're aware of what's going on in this environment. And it is not all-inclusive, guys. I'm not saying you're going to be a subject matter expert when you finish this book, but I think you'll be a lot better prepared for the next steps in your career as you go through this book. And then finally, I have an appendix here where I talk about Hack 5, which is great, the USB rubber ducky, the Wi-Fi pineapple. Some of you guys have probably already gotten into that and have purchased some of these devices. And they're super helpful to learn a little bit about, pen testing and stuff like that. Okay, that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed this movie. I hope you go out and buy the book. Please let me know. Please leave a review for me. I would love it if you'd review the book. And you're welcome to shoot me an email and let me know how you like it. You can look at my website at williamheldman.com and contact me there. Love to hear from you. And I want you to know that the next thing I'm doing now is I'm working on a companion workbook for this book so that a teacher has lesson plans and activities that students can use to learn more about these chapter topics. Okay, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you in the next movie. Have a great day. Be good. Bye.